Welcome, everyone, to this hour of focusing on the healing power of yoga. You might be able to hear in my voice that I am recovering from yet another sickness. So I've had a hard time managing all the stress in my life lately. And stress leads to inflammation in our tissues, and it breaks down the immune system, and the next thing you know, you're sick. That said, I think it's really important not to be judgmental or critical towards ourselves when we do get sick. It's really just the body talking, the wisdom of the body giving us information that we do need to pay attention to, letting us know that we may be overextending, we may be doing too much, we may not be asking for the support and the help that we need, or it may just be our attitude, right? The way that we are perceiving reality. So I know if I start to get resentful and I don't practice gratitude, and I know that sounds very trendy in terms of the gratitude practice. Everybody's doing that now. But it actually is an ancient practice from really all of the wisdom traditions. But yoga in particular suggests that we practice the ethic of contentment. How do we just be okay with ourselves as we are and our lives as they are? Can we find the parts that are working? Can we focus on things that are going well, the ways in which we are fortunate, right? We can get really stressed out about making a mistake, getting confused, double booking ourselves. There's all kinds of things we can get frustrated with, and that's okay. But do you want to keep focusing on that, or do you want to focus on the fact that we have clean drinking water, that we are healthy enough to do the housework, the dishes, things that, again, tend to bring resentment into many households. So the history of yoga is that originally, everybody was healthy because people didn't have cars and there wasn't pollution and there weren't 9-to-5 jobs. People just really had to live in harmony with nature. Their bodies had to be strong. Their minds had to be focused. But at some point they realized, even in that harmonious situation, people would get sick, more often injured, and they learned how to heal those injuries, or in some cases the sicknesses, because people did experience loss and grief. People died, and they learned that there was a way to regulate the nervous system. So let's begin by sitting up straight and tall. And you can tent the fingers out to the sides, or you can just rest the fingers on the thighs and just lightly press down so that you can lift up through the low belly. And whatever seated posture you're in, really let those inner thighs relax, the groin release, the feet drop down. And just by lifting up through the low belly, lifting, spreading that chest, lifting up through the back of the skull, that occipital ridge, and up through the crown of the head, you are creating more space for your nervous system, the central nervous system, which includes the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, but also the vagus nerve, which is part of both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a really important balancing aspect to the nervous system. And then also there's a somewhat separate nervous system. Again, it's actually related to the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. And that is the enteric nervous system that is here in your gut. And the vagus nervous system also intersects with that. The vagus nervous system also goes up through the heart and then up through the throat and into parts of the face. So I'll get more into all of that later. But just for now, know that by simply sitting up straight and tall, slightly engaging the core, you are creating space for your nervous system. And that is your mood regulation tool. And it's definitely part of your health and wellness repertoire, right? We want to keep this toned, healthy, balanced, and then we have a much better chance of warding off sickness and injury. And that said, if sickness and injury occurs, which it certainly will because we are human, then this can help us to heal as well. So really the healing power of yoga has to do with this whole space where the nervous system is living. And then from the nervous system, there's all kinds of nerves reaching out into your knees, your ankles, your arms, all through the rest of the body. So in some ways, the nervous system is really through the whole body. And that's why the asana practice is so important, because it's balancing the energy in the body. And that's exactly what's happening. The nervous system itself is getting balanced when we do the postures. But let's first just sit up straight and tall, keep lifting up through the heart, draw the upper spine in towards the heart, but draw the low belly up towards the ribs and let the tailbone be long. So those actions, pulling the upper spine in, spreading the chest, dropping the tailbone down, lifting the low belly up. These are containing that nervous system. They're supporting the nervous system. They're creating space for the nervous system, these small actions. So feel that and notice maybe right away there's an impact on your, or an influence on your mood and on your energy. And then begin to observe your breath. So first of all, if you can, it's hard. Once you start observing the breath wants to perform. But if you can, observe the unconditioned breath. Just allowing the breath to wash in, allowing the breath to wash out. And move into all nostril breathing if you can, and begin to pull the breath in from the base of the throat to fill up the lungs, feel the diaphragm lower, the pelvic floor open, but don't let the pelvic floor collapse or push down. Let it be more of a widening. That's very subtle, so if you don't really feel it, don't worry, it's happening. And then on the exhale, that low belly will lift up. It'll pull the pelvic floor up with it, helping to empty out the breath. And again, inhale, pull it in. Feel the expansion as these lower containers move down. And meanwhile, there's a diaphragm in the skull attached behind the nostrils, right? Which makes a lot of sense. And that is moving up. So on the inhale, we are pulling the breath down, but what we're doing is actually working with pranavayu. This is an action that lifts up from the low belly to the chest, and then even a little beyond. And then on the exhale, as we empty, pelvic floor pulls up, diaphragm pulls up, and this diaphragm presses down to help really pull or press all of the breath out of the body. So again, you don't have to be fully aware of all these things, but they are happening. So a few more breaths, inhaling. Feel the lift, the lengthening, the expansion. On the exhale, see if you can maintain that space, but even though the exhale is coming up and out, you feel the energy moving down, and that is Apanavayu. So Pranavayu lifts up, Apanavayu helps us to ground down. So there's 5 ways in which the energy can move throughout the body. I'll mention more, but as we're breathing, we're just working with inhale, expand. Even though the breath is going down, the energy is moving up. Prana-vayu, the biomechanics are lifting. And then exhale, energy moves down. Apana-vayu, biomechanics slightly compressing and compacting, not collapsing though. And a few more, and as you do that, I'll just mention that again, the vagus nerve, which goes all the way from the stomach up through the heart, up into the face, or you could do the opposite. You can see how that would be supported by both the inhalation and the exhalation, by these diaphragms moving. These three diaphragms are working with the prana-vayu, the apana-vayu, but also with those three aspects of the vagus nerve. And especially on the exhalation, as we lift that belly up, we're really supporting that enteric nervous system. But then on the inhale, we're flooding it with nutrients, with oxygen, with fluids. We're creating space for the nourishment to move into that area. So the enteric nervous system also getting supported by the breath. And then, of course, the central nervous system also. So we can think of the inhalation as being more connected to the sympathetic nervous system, putting us on alert, being aware of danger, of threat, which the vagus nerve in the facial area also helps with, but also down in the belly, it helps us discern, to have an instinct about what is safe or not safe. And so the parasympathetic nervous system tends to turn on when we exhale. So sympathetic nervous system when we inhale, parasympathetic system when we exhale, let go, release, relax. So I hope you're starting to feel maybe some balancing of the energy and some awareness of all these nervous systems and how they support your health. So there are many yoga practices that say, this is it. All you have to do is sit in a comfortable seat, sit up straight and tall, create space for all these aspects of the nervous system, breathe. So you're toning the nervous system and at the same time creating space for it. And that will bring you health and happiness. So you don't even have to bother with the postures. But I do think we'll work a lot with the postures today in terms of what they can do in terms of healing. So let's get started with that. So coming down onto your knees, bring the knees apart, toes together, send the hips back. If you can come into a full child's pose, go ahead. Really reach the fingers out, lift the wrists up, lift the elbows up, be long and strong through the arms, and use those long, strong arms to press the hips back. And if you can, the forehead will rest on the mat. If that's not available, you can be in more of a puppy pose if the hips don't go all the way back. And just still reach the arms out, let the hips reach back as far as they can go, sink down, and let the head go as much as you can. And again, can you allow that upper spine to really sink in towards the heart? And let that heart really rest towards the mat. Beautiful. So oftentimes we're so aware of the front body, and we really want to also bring equal awareness into that back body. So inhale, bring the breath into the low back ribs, really bathing the adrenal glands with nourishing oxygen. And then on your exhale, really empty the breath out, pull the front body into the back body. Again, toning that whole central nervous system, vagus nerve, enteric nervous system, and emptying out the breath. And this also empties out CO2 from the lungs. So we want to empty out the toxins. And then on that inhale, we're soaking the body, filling it up with oxygen. And exhale, it's a cleansing breath, that exhalation. And then inhale, float up a little and walk both hands over to the right. You can take the left hand on top of the right hand if that feels good to you. Keep reaching that left sit bone back. Pull that left armpit chest area forward. Then also keep reaching through the right fingers. Let the head relax. And pull this left side body in. So if it's kind of bowing out a little, pull it in. That will activate the right side body as well. So even though we're opening up the left side, we want to keep that right side active as well. So when we work with the side body, we're working with the kidneys and all those internal organs that are over to the left. The intestines, the stomach, a lot of the organs go down through the center. So both right and left side stretching will help. But here we're working with the left kidney. The heart is a little more on the left, so we're really opening up that heart space. So becoming aware of the organs inside the body and how postures support those organs. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, hands over to the left. Again, find some comfort for the head. Rest that prefrontal cortex. Send that right sit bone back. Hug that right side body in and reach more through those left fingertips. Inhale, bring the breath into that low right rib. On the right side, bring the breath into the lowest ribs, really bathing the kidney, the adrenal gland there. And then also on the right side is the liver, such an important organ. So really focus on the exhalation here. Both the kidneys and the liver, detoxifying organs. So focusing on that exhalation, helping them to detoxify. And then inhale, come back through center. Exhale, drop back into your child's pose, your puppy's pose. Emphasize that exhalation. And then inhale, coming up to hands and knees. And from here, crossing the ankles, rolling over, or finding some other way to come onto your back. So we're working without any props today, just using our bodies for this practice. So go ahead and lie down on your back. So again, the yogis really understood the need to care for our organs, to tone our organs, that would contribute to our health and well-being, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And so exhaling as we contain the organs or open the organs on the inhale, bringing them breath, exhaling, detoxifying, cleansing, it's really healing. It's super effective. So stretch that left leg out. Make sure that the toes are pointing to the sky. So maybe use a little core strength to lift up and look at your toes. Toes to the sky. Have the feeling that you're trying to bring that inner left thigh to the mat and press the quadricep down. So lots of action through that left leg. And then stretch that right leg up in the sky any amount that you can. Just reach it up. Reach from the inner groin up through the inner heel. Pull the toes towards you. You should feel your quadricep engage. And think of this pose as could be warrior 3 if you're standing up, right? You might be standing on this right foot and lifting that left foot behind you. It could also be pyramid pose, Ardha, where you're standing on both feet. That back foot, you're pressing into it. That front foot, you're trying to lift up and out of it. So in either case, for all 3 of these poses, we really want to learn to keep the awareness on that left leg. And then keep that left hip really grounded. You can even put your hand on your left hip flexor and start to let that right leg fall out to the right. Try to keep it strong and long. Reach through that inner right heel. Hug that outer right hip in. And here we might consider triangle or Ardha Chandrasana. So triangle,
the left leg would be really reaching into the earth, so make that happen. And in Ardha Chandrasana, we would be more on the right leg. Left leg would be floating, but that left leg would have to be strong. You'd have to trick the brain into thinking that it's stepping on something. Inhale, come back through center. And exhale, take that right leg a little across the center line to the left and reach your left arm up right through the center line. And notice there's a tiny twist here. Left foot will come up. And think of this as revolve triangle, Parariti Trikonasana. And then right leg back to center, left arm back to the floor, and drop that right leg down. Use some core strength, lengthen the leg as you lower it, and just feel the difference between the two legs. Something really does happen when we're moving our body in this mindful way with the breath. And then inhale, left leg up. Keep your awareness on that right leg. Press it down, reach from the inner right groin out through that inner right heel, and check, make sure. I had to reorganize my toes a bit. Really spin that inner right thigh down and reach through the left leg. So here again could be warrior 3, right leg floating, left leg on the floor, or pyramid pose. We'll take that left leg out to the left. Keep that right leg really stable. Left leg's only going as far as the right leg can. Stay grounded, right hip flexor pressing down. Reach through the inner left groin, out through the inner left heel. Pull the outer left hip in. Don't lose any length through the inner left leg. Inhale, bring it back to center. Exhale, bring it across the center line just a bit till you feel that outer left hip opening. Pull the leg towards you any amount that you can. And then take that right hand and reach it at the center line. So the right hand is to the left of the left leg's to the right. And again, thinking of this as Parariti Trikonasana. And then right arm down, left leg back through center. Use your core strength. Lower that left leg slowly. Reach through the leg. Lengthen the leg as you lower it. Beautiful. And then bending the knees. Let's rock and roll up to sitting or roll over to one side, whatever you need to do. Find your way back to that tabletop position. Tabletop position being such a wonderful position in terms of transitioning, right? From up to down, from back to forth. We haven't done our 6 movements of the spine yet. That was kind of a nice warm-up just with the breathing and then moving the legs around a little bit. But let's quickly move into a cow. Inhaling, exhale, lift that front body. Inhale, pull the heart forward, lift the tailbone to the sky, lift the gaze. Exhale, spread the fingers, hug those outer ankles in, press the feet down, spin the inner thighs back, lift the low belly up. And you can think here about how this action would really be helping the whole nervous system, the vagus nerve, the enteric nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system to all balance out, to be opening up on the one hand and relaxing on the other hand. So we want an alert nervous system, but not a nervous system that has been hijacked, right, by trauma, depression, or anxiety. So it's either in the past or in the future. It's either scared or, well, I think of anxiety and depression as both being scared, right? Depression is scared about what happened in the past. Anxiety is scared about what happened in the future. And then I like to just kind of take the left side to the left, press back, right side to the right. And this is opening up the side body, which we did a little bit in our warm-up there with
child's pose. And actually the legs were a little bit of back bend and forward fold. And then change direction. But this action here, you should feel a tiny twist. And there actually was a little bit of tiny twisting in the leg, reclining leg postures that we did. So just making sure that we have hit all of the 6 movements of the spine, and then tuck the toes under, lift up, press back, lift the hips up, spin the inner thighs back, lift up out of those wrists, lift up through the inner arms, lift the hip creases up, engage the quadriceps to lift the kneecaps up, and then walk the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale, float up halfway, create that space in both the front body and the back body. Nice flat back, open chest, long through the side waist. And then exhale, 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 that detoxifying breath, that slight squeeze to the nervous system, just helping to clean it out. And then inhale, rise up. Now soaking the nervous system, bathing it with breath, with nutrients, with fluids, and exhale, bring the hands back to the center of the chest. And so now we'll try those 3 options for the legs in standing. So take that left foot back and have the left foot turned out just a little bit. Press into that right big toe mound. Move that right hip back and press into the left heel to move the left glute, left hip flexor forward. So biomechanically, it's pretty easy to see that this is really good for our muscles, right? But it's not just that there's a muscular thing happening or a biomechanical thing happening. There's a lot of tension being held in the muscles and in the fascia. So all of these postures are helping us to consciously create tension to release tension. So that's the stress and inflammation that we're talking about. If that tension gets trapped in the body, that unconscious tension will kill you. It will definitely damage your health and your well-being. It will cause injuries. So by coming into these postures, we're consciously creating tension to consciously release tension. So make sure you have that little engagement through the left glute, engagement through the quadriceps, and we'll come into pyramid pose here. So inhale, lean back, be in that back leg, and then exhale, come forward. If you can't reach the mat, put both hands on your shin. Again, we just want to really work with the body today without any props. If you can reach the floor and still have the armpit chest area coming forward, shoulders out of the ears, back pretty flat, then do that. And keep pressing into that right big toe mound, lifting that right hip crease back, taking the outer right hip back, rolling it open, and then pull that outer left hip forward, but we're not shortening the left leg because we're spinning that inner left thigh back and reaching into the left heel. So both legs growing stronger. Opening the fascia in some parts, squeezing it in others. So this would be, if you were lying down, the back leg would be on the floor, the right leg would be in the sky. And then taking the left hand closer to the right leg and right hand on the right hip. And maybe you just turn a little bit. So this would be as if the back leg was on the floor, you were lying down, and we're bringing, instead of bringing the right leg across to the left, we're turning the rib cage to get that same action. Feel that outer right hip open. The more you can keep rolling it open, pulling it back, reaching that right sit bone back, and also kind of down into that left heel. And then exhale, release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, step that left foot forward. And then stepping that left foot back,
Do the other side. Press into the left big toe mound, pull that right hip forward, left hip back, right glute engages. Be in that right heel, outer edge of the right foot. Lift from pubis to sternum and exhale, fold forward. So again, now that right leg is on the floor, left leg is in the sky, so to speak, like we've turned it upside down. So if you were on the floor, think of how this left low back would be even with the right? So keep pulling that back and flattening it out. Spin that inner right thigh back, pull the armpit chest area forward. On that inhale, tighten everything up a little bit, but at the same time, there's that prana vayu, so there's a lengthening through the front body. And then on the exhale, there's a little compaction through the front body, that opening of the back body. So again, we want to keep bringing that awareness to the back body. In yoga, it's pretty easy to bring awareness to the back of the legs, right? There's lots of hamstring opening, and we're tightening up the quadriceps. And then if you want to come into the twist, left hand to left hip, I'm not really doing a full twist today. It's enough to just take the right ribs down, left ribs up. And again, rather than moving the leg across the rib cage, we're bringing the rib cage around and up. Same idea. And again, think of that back leg. The back leg is the leg that is on the floor if you're lying down. So have it be that strong, that grounded. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, step that right foot forward and turn to face the long edge of your mat. So the one thing we didn't do yet in the standing postures was when the one leg is out to the side. So turn your right leg out. The right foot will turn out as well. Left foot slightly in. So here we would think of the left leg as the leg on the floor and the right leg moving out to the right. And you're back on the floor, right? So just turning that upside down. And you might think that when you're on the floor is when you're upside down, but since we started upside down, this is now upside down. Inhale, arms float up to shoulder height. Exhale, reach out over that right leg and windmill the arms. And again, if you have props and you want to use them, feel free. Otherwise, just right hand somewhere on that right shin, left fingers to the sky, and be as flat as you can, just like when you were on your back. Left leg was on the floor, back was on the floor. They were all in one plane. Left arm on the floor. And there's a slight twist here. So bring the right ribs forward and spin those left ribs up to the sky, maybe even back behind you a little bit. And again, remember this front leg is just floating, so to speak. The pose is coming from that back leg. So strengthen that back leg. Press this left hip back into the space behind you. Open that inner right leg from inner groin down through the inner knee into the inner edge of the right foot. And then from here, we'll go ahead and try one of the balancing poses because we're all set up for it here. So it's the same thing, except this back leg that was on the floor is going to fly. So bend that right knee a little. Take the right hand a little out to the right. And maybe you're here. Maybe you don't even quite leave the floor. That's okay. But if you can, keep the right knee bent. Look up. Don't look down like I was. And then once that back leg is floating, straighten the front leg. And again, you actually want to have more action in the floating leg. Reach through the heel. Press the leg back. Stack the left hip on top of the right. The right leg should be somewhat effortless. And if that didn't work for you, you can always just stay in triangle. Someday you'll get to Ardha Chandrasana. Inhale to come up and out. Exhale, we'll change the legs. Left leg turns out. Right foot turns slightly in, right leg turns slightly in. Square off your hips, so press that right hip back, left hip forward, arms float up to shoulder height. Exhale, reach out over that left leg. Again, strengthen that back leg, tighten that right glute. Have some effortlessness through the left leg. It's the leg that's opening. Scoop that left buttock under. You can stay here or try that Ardha Chandrasana. Left hand a little out to the left, look up, not down, and straighten that right leg. Float it and straighten it, and then straighten the left leg. Have more awareness in the floating leg. Flex the foot. Reach through the leg. Stack that left hip on top of the right. Or just stay in triangle. Fine too. Either way, it's the back leg, guys. So we're creating that conscious tension so that we can release it. Inhale to come up and out. And let's just take a moment. Heel and toe the feet together. Step the legs together. And just feel. Does your body feel more alive? More open? Maybe even a little stronger? All right, so we've done all three standing postures in terms of the three ways the legs can move from the Supta Hasta Padangusthasana variation. And we've done one of the balancing postures. So we'll try 2 more balancing postures, and then we'll wind down. So taking the left leg back, so starting off in that pyramid pose again, we'll inhale. Instead of folding forward over the leg, though, we're going to bend the knee, a lot like that triangle pose. Keep in the back leg. Keep in the back leg for as long as you can. Keep that right knee bent. Look a little bit forward without cranking the neck. And don't straighten the right leg until you really have that back leg established. So spin the inner left thigh up to the sky. Left pinky toe down. Lift the heart. Lift the leg. If that didn't quite work for you, you can put your hands on the floor, bend that right knee a little, and do a modified warrior. But focus on that left leg. Lift it up, reach it back. And then let that left leg land next to the right. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, step that left leg back for the other side. Inhale, feel that diaphragm open up and down. And even though the breath is coming in, energy rises up. And then on an exhale, start to bend the knee. Feel how the energy is grounding down. So we want to coordinate that the actions that we do go with the breath. As the breath is helping us to ground down through those feet. And again, we could have the arms out in front of you. Keep that standing leg bent. Establish that back leg. If that doesn't work for you, of course, use the hands, bend the knee as much as you need to, and just really focus on pulling the heart forward, but reaching through that back leg. Lifting that right thigh, engaging that right glute, spinning the inner right thigh up to the sky, pinky toe down. And then, again, stepping that right foot next to the left. And inhale, sweeping the arms out and up. Exhale, pull it down to the center chest. All right, and then come to sit. So finding the seat that is comfortable for you and working with the pranayama technique called Nadi Shodhana. We often think of pranayama as being just breathing techniques,
In reality, pranayama means energy regulation. Breathing is one of the best and most powerful and most simple ways to regulate our energy. But I just did want to say there are other ways, and we'll actually bring some of that into this practice. A visualization is another way to really activate the cerebrospinal fluid. When we do that, it's incredibly healing for the whole nervous system. And I also wanted to say another word about Nadi Shodhana in particular. All of the breathing practices, but Nadi Shodhana in particular, has a beautiful relationship to the vagus nerve. Now, of course, every inhale stimulates, tones, balances the sympathetic nervous system, and every exhale, done mindfully, consciously, does the same thing for the parasympathetic nervous system. So we want to be alert, but not overly alert, and we want to be able to rest and digest without collapsing and falling into lethargy. So these breathing practices help with that. But the vagus nerve in particular, if you think about it, especially with Nadi Shodhana, we're really activating that upper diaphragm as well as the pineal gland. And we're bringing the breath down through the heart into the belly. And we're accessing this whole beautiful construct of the socio-emotional system in our bodies, which helps us to regulate ourselves in terms of interacting with other people, of expressing emotion, of letting other people know how we feel, but also being able to perceive how other people are feeling. And then have an intuition from the heart, an instinct from the gut. So it does touch into the enteric nervous system as well. So it is accomplishing so much and really helping us to be available for ourselves when we're interacting with others and for the other people at the same time. Are they laughing? Are they smiling? Are they frowning? Are they sad? Are they crying? And how am I feeling as I interact with them? So the facial expression, the feeling in the heart, the emotions, the intuition, and then the instinct, all of that working together to know whether you're safe in this interaction or whether you may not be so safe, that there may be a threat here. So we don't have to think about all this, but I just want you to know that as we practice Nadi Shodhan, these things are all happening. So bringing the left hand into meditation mudra, 3 fingers together, moving downwards towards the earth, index finger and thumb, making a nice little circle there. And then we'll use the Nadi Shodhan mudra that allows us to place the middle finger and the pointer finger on the third eye. So touching into both the pituitary gland, which is right at the front there, and back into the pineal gland, which I don't have time to talk about right now, but some other time I will tell you more about that. It really regulates our circadian rhythms and so many other things, really allowing us to perceive beyond the material reality in the world. So there are, I already started to talk about it, but just a very brief explanation. And then a nice big inhale and a cleansing exhale. Sympathetic nervous system. Exhale, parasympathetic nervous system. And then before your next inhale, gently closing the left nostril. Make sure you don't move the nose or the head. Keep the nose pointing straight ahead, crown of the head to the sky. Inhale left. And then close the left, release the right. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, release the left, exhale left. And then touching into the third eye area, you'll inhale left, bring the breath up, visualize that you're bringing nourishing energy, rejuvenating energy through the left nostril up to the pituitary and pineal glands. Close the left, and as you exhale through the right, imagine you're detoxifying and cleansing those two glands. Exhale through the right. And again, inhale, bring the breath up, up, up. Feel those glands are supple, juicy, filled with life. Close the right, release the left, and detoxify, cleanse. Feel a sense of clarity there. You can really see clearly. So we're working against the tendency as we age of these glands to calcify, to harden, to shrink. Inhale left, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Seeing that clear, juicy, nice, big, soft, awake, alive pituitary and pineal gland. Close the left, exhale right. And then inhale right. So the inhale and the right side really working together here to activate, to enliven, to awaken. Close the right, release the left. And then exhaling through the left, that left side and that exhalation really working to help relax, cleanse, decalcify, detox. And of course, you could go on for many more rounds, but for now, we'll just sit in meditation, feeling the effects of just 3 rounds. Ideally, you would do about 15 rounds. That's about what it takes to really arrive, really be here, feeling the full effects and benefits of your healing yoga practice. Namaste, and be sure to fit a Shavasana in here somewhere if you were doing this as part of an asana practice.